Story number 1. Alright, so let me tell you about this messed up thing that happened to us. We were just a bunch of guys, nothing special, and we thought we found the perfect hideout. An old abandoned hospital. Sounded like a genius idea at the time, you know? But man, it turned into a real nightmare. We found the place late at night, and it looked all run down and forgotten. Perfect for laying low, we thought. We weren't the type to ask questions, just wanted a spot to crash without anyone breathing down our necks. Little did we know that hospital had a dark history. First few nights were quiet, just us laughing, cracking open some beers. But then, things started getting weird. Shadows moving where they shouldn't. Weird sounds echoing in the halls. We all felt it, this heavy vibe, like the place was watching us. One night, Tommy, he was the tough guy in the gang, starts telling us he's hearing whispers. We laugh it off, thinking he's messing with us. But the guy looks scared, real scared. Swears he's hearing voices that ain't ours. The atmosphere, it changed. It wasn't just about hiding anymore. It was like the air itself had this creepy weight to it. Even the bravest among us started glancing over their shoulders, like we were being followed. One by one, strange things kept happening. Tools disappearing, strange markings on the walls. But the real kicker was when we found this old room tucked away in the hospital. Looked like it hadn't seen daylight in decades. We open the door, and this chill hits us, like stepping into a freezer. In that room we find files, records of some messed up stuff. Criminal activities, secret deals, you name it. Turns out, this hospital wasn't just abandoned. It was a cover for some serious shady business. Our hideout wasn't so innocent after all. The tension, it spiked. Paranoia kicked in like a bad drug. Every creak, every sound set us on edge. We started accusing each other, pointing fingers. The trust we thought we had gone in an instant. One night things really go south. We're sitting around, tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. That's when it happens. Tony, one of our guys, starts talking to someone who ain't there. Full on arguing, swearing he sees ghosts. We think he's losing it, but then he starts spilling secrets. Stuff only we knew. Turns out, those ghosts, or whatever they were, dug into our pasts. Knew about the stuff we wanted to keep buried. That's when the real horror kicked in. The ghosts, they played with our minds, whispering about betrayal, revenge, all that dark stuff. We turned on each other like hungry dogs fighting for a scrap. Every night it got worse. We'd hear footsteps in the empty halls, see shadows lurking in the corners. It was like the ghosts wanted us to turn on each other, tear ourselves apart. Tommy, the tough guy who first heard the whispers, he was the first to snap. Started seeing things that weren't there, talking to people who'd been dead for years. It was like the hospital's twisted history was playing out in front of us. Betrayal became the norm. We'd hide things, lie to each other, all while the ghosts danced in the background, reveling in our misery. It wasn't just about hiding from the world anymore, it was about hiding from ourselves. The gang, once tight-knit, fell apart piece by piece. Fear turned friends into enemies. Trust became a rare commodity. We were drowning in a nightmare of our own making. And then, the hospital seemed to feed on it. It became a breeding ground for our darkest fears, a place where the ghosts of our past wouldn't let us forget. We were haunted by our own deeds, unable to escape the twisted history of the hospital. Story number 2. Buckle up, because this is some messed up story that happened to me and my crew. We're these urban explorers, you know, always chasing that adrenaline high by checking out creepy places. So, one day, we get wind of this old hospital that everyone says is haunted. We're thinking ghosts, spirits, typical horror stuff. But let me tell you, it was way worse than any ghost story we ever imagined. We sneak into this abandoned place, and right off the bat, it's dark as the pits of hell. Broken windows, creaky doors, and that distinct hospital smell that never really goes away. We're playing it cool, laughing off the eerie vibe, trying to be macho about it. As we're poking around, we find this room with a door hanging on its hinges. Inside, it's a mess. Old medical records scattered like confetti at a horror-themed party. And we start reading them. Turns out this hospital wasn't your run-of-the-mill place. Nah, it was a front for some seriously messed up experiments. These records spilled the beans about illegal testing on patients, like they were trying to create superhumans or something. But it all went sideways, you know? The patients got all twisted up, and instead of superhumans, they ended up as some kind of mutant horrors, left to rot, desperate, and apparently out for revenge. Now we're thinking it's just some crazy story, a plotline from a bad horror movie. But then we find these old photos, pictures of patients with bodies contorted and twisted, like something out of a nightmare. The laughter stops. Reality smacks us, and we realize we're standing in the aftermath of some sick experiment gone totally wrong. The place feels different now, heavy with the weight of those messed up secrets. We decide to split up like idiots in a horror movie. I take a hallway, and the others go off in different directions. I'm walking, and it's quiet except for the creaks and the sound of my own breath. The tension is thick. You can almost taste it. Every shadow feels like it's watching, and I keep hearing things. Footsteps that ain't mine, whispers that ain't ours. I try to brush it off, blame it on the nerves, but man, it's freaking me out. Then I stumble upon another room. This one's got these old surgical tools scattered around. Rusty scalpels, creepy-looking clamps, the whole horror show. But the weirdest part? There's this low hum like a vibration in the air. I follow it, and it leads me to this flickering light at the end of the hallway. I reach the source, and it's a door, slightly ajar. The hum is louder now, like an eerie melody. I push the door open, and there it is. A room filled with these tanks. Tanks with murky liquid and something floating inside. Mutated figures, humanish but not quite. Limbs all wrong, faces distorted. I'm staring, frozen. And that's when I hear the whispers again. These mutated figures, they ain't dead. They're alive, and they're pissed. I can feel it, like their anger is seeping into the air. I'm not alone. They know I'm there, and they want something. Revenge, I guess. I back away, the door creaking behind me. The air gets colder, heavier. The whispers turn into distorted moans, and I book it. I run through the dark hallways, heart pounding, trying to find my buddies. But they're not answering their calls, and the place feels like a maze closing in on me. I hear footsteps behind me now, quick and irregular. I don't dare look back. The whispers are getting louder, more desperate. It's like the mutated patients are right on my tail. Panic sets in, and I'm sprinting through the hospital, praying to find an exit. Finally, I see a door, a way out. I burst through it, gasping for air. The whispers fade, the footsteps stop. I'm outside, but the horror lingers. I realize my buddies are nowhere in sight. Did they find the mutated patients too? Are they still inside, trapped in this nightmare? Story number 3. I'm just a regular guy who plays some tunes on his guitar, you know. So I was in this slump, needed some inspiration. People said there's this old, creepy hospital nearby, haunted or whatever. I figured, why not? Maybe there's something there that could spark some musical magic. I ain't exactly a brave dude, just throwing that out there. But curiosity got the better of me, and I ended up standing outside this creaky, run-down hospital. Looked straight out of a horror movie, boarded up windows and graffiti hinting at the horrors within. I hesitated for a sec, thinking about turning back, but I needed that inspiration, you know? So, I go inside, and let me tell you, the atmosphere hit me like a truck. Silent halls, peeling paint, and this eerie feeling like someone was watching. I'm walking around, my guitar slung across my back, trying not to think about how freaking creepy it was. After a while, I find this room that felt different, like it had a heartbeat of its own. The air got thick, like you could slice it with a knife. Then, it hits me. A piano melody, soft and haunting, echoing from the room. I didn't even know there was a piano left in this place. The keys were moving by themselves, playing this ghostly tune. It wasn't your regular melody. It was something otherworldly, each note carrying a heavy load, like it held the pain of 1,000 memories. I had to find out where it was coming from. So I'm following the sound, right? Ends up in this room, and there it is. An old piano standing in the corner, but no one's playing it. The keys are dancing by themselves, like some unseen hands are caressing them. The room's got a pulse, a rhythm that resonates with emotions I can't quite put into words. I think maybe I can jam along, make something beautiful out of this strange experience. But as soon as my fingers touch the strings, something shifts. It's not a collaboration, it's an invasion. The melody gets intense, the piano keys moving with purpose like they're telling a story. And then things get dark. Ghostly figures dressed in hospital gowns start showing up around me. Faces twisted with pain, eyes staring into some abyss. Each chord triggers a new ghost, and they're not friendly apparitions. It's like I'm living their memories, their pain becoming mine with every strum of my guitar. I try to leave, thinking maybe I'd bitten off more than I could chew, but the door won't budge. Panic sets in, and the music, if you can even call it that, gets louder, more intense. The ghosts are screaming through the melody. I'm stuck in this room, a puppet to the haunting composition. Time loses meaning. Feels like hours, days, or maybe just seconds, trapped in a room where the line between the living and the dead blurs. The air's thick with a mix of sorrow, regret, and pain. Me and the ghosts were caught in this strange dance of emotions, and it's too much. Finally, as if someone hit the mute button, the music stops. The room falls silent, and the ghosts fade away like shadows in the daylight. I stumble out, shaken to my core. The rest of the hospital feels different after that. It's like the spirits poured their sorrows into me, and now I'm carrying their weight.